Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Well, here it is. It's a brand new year. And we always hear that slogan, new year, new you. So what are you doing? Where's the new? What's changed here? What are you working on? I can tell you that I cleaned my office. That was the starting point. Needed to get done. Not even done, not even close to being done, but I feel more organized. But there's we're all a work in progress and there's a lot of work to be done. And she can help you with that. She's a mindset and mentality coach with Phoenix Coaching, and Michelle G is your coach, and she's back today. Welcome. How you doing?
Thank you. You said you cleaned your desk, and I'm looking at mine, and I'm like, that could be something I could do.
Well,
but it's okay.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
I had a friend, my really close friend Tina, join me on New Year's Day, and that's what we did. And we cleaned, and she likes doing it. But like anything, it takes time. So I've got multiple rooms here, and all we did was get to one room. And I'm not going to tell you how many hours went by in doing that.
Right.
Probably 6, not kidding. And that's not including the pizza that arrived and taking a break but it's a work in progress. It takes time. You can't expect immediate results. And I did have that picture. I was like, yeah, we're going to get to this. We're going to get to that. And she's like, no, I knew we were just going to do that one room. So 2 points there. You can't do it alone, because I would have not, I'm looking at her. Should I throw this out? What do you think? What do I do with this? Throw it out, keep that. And you have to have reasonable expectations no matter what when you're doing stuff like that.
Absolutely. And as you said, it takes time. It's okay. That's fine. But I love, because there's a whole psychology behind it, and a cluttered space is also a cluttered mind. And so you can't actually declutter your own thoughts and brain things if you're living in a cluttered space, because it's all the same. It's a reflection of what's going on internally.
You're 1,000,000,000% right. Oh, it's and you don't know it until you do it.
Exactly. It's like when you cleaned your office, how great did you feel afterwards?
Well, hang tight. It's not my office. It's the one that somebody else uses on my team here. And I cleaned their office. I didn't do mine yet. But
that's nice of you.
Because I thought I'd get to mine. I ran out of time. But to your point, somebody who is very, very intuitive, has made his career with his intuitiveness, if you will, said to me long ago that when you have clutter and boxes and things all over the place, you are blocking the flow of energy. And I never really picked up on it until I started seeing it and feeling it. And it's so true. It's just like you can't figure out what's up, but it's just something's not right. And it's a lot of times it is the clutter in your space.
Yeah. And one more point on that, because I know we had our own topic we were going to talk about. But it's like, for people looking for relationships or wanting to bring in money, you get to create the space for it, the actual physical space. Because I know a lot of people with relationships, they have a cluttered closet. They have no space in their bed. They always keep themselves busy. So they don't have the time to physically allow somebody else to be in their life. And then same with money. If your wallet's full of old receipts, you don't have the space to bring new money in. And so energetically, if you believe in that, energetically, you're keeping it away from
you. So when we talk about, let's say, relationships, I do know some people that do that always stay busy, so they don't confront the situation.
Yeah. And it's one of those, if you don't realize that you are holding people away unintentionally, of course, but because you just don't have room for them, or you haven't created the space for them yet.
Or you have people in your life that don't serve you, and they're taking up the space where somebody who is fantastic could be right there, right next to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, on to what we're going to talk about, the new you. This all loosely ties into it, I think, though.
I can relate it. It'll be fine.
Yeah. So here it is, a new year. Like, what are your first thoughts, Michelle, in that fresh start?
So many. But one that I tend to see, and it used to be my thoughts and my patterns too, is that there's a new year. Everything I haven't done yet, I get to do this year. Like the person that I've always wanted to become, that I've failed at becoming, that I've been resistant to becoming, whatever it is, this year. Like, this is going to be my year. This is the year that I get all my shit together. I figure it out. I do it all. And what I've really come to understand and realize, that I don't like the phrase "New Year, New Me." I like the phrase "New Year, Next Level Me," because I feel the association with New Year, New Me, it means the old you isn't good. That you don't like that version of you, that version sucks or is a disappointment or whatever you've attached to it. And you're trying to replace that. But I'm here to say that you, no matter what version of you, is absolutely perfect. You are wonderful. You are amazing. Anyone out there who needs to hear this, listen, there is nothing wrong with you. Nothing wrong with you at all. You don't have to jump into setting 20 different New Year's resolutions because you believe that's what you need to do. What I always aim for is, how do I get to like step into even more greatness in my life? Where do I get to take my life to the next level, and how do I do that?
How about you, only better?
Exactly. Yeah, next level.
I do marketing for a cosmetic surgeon, and I came up with that. You, only better.
Ooh, I like it.
Because it's you, but it's a different version of you, but it's, a better you. And the one thing that drives me crazy is when people say the word broken and refer to people. It's like, we're not broken. No.
Yeah, I've referred to myself as broken before, and that's how I felt, and it was totally valid at that time. Okay, but also, nobody's broken, because when you're broken, you feel like you need to be fixed. Nobody, or like, your life does not need to be fixed. You can improve it, you can change it, but there's nothing wrong with it. It is exactly how you've chosen it to be.
Did we talk about that? I think it's a Japanese term, that when a piece of pottery or something drops and breaks, it's called kintsugi, and it's put together with gold.
Yeah, I don't think we've talked about that, but I've heard that concept, and that because it's not broken, it's still beautiful. And I love that concept. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's some kind of
And
gold
because we
glue.
all go through things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, I
we all
think
go
that
through things. We all have that trauma. We all have those experiences, and it doesn't mean we're broken. It just means now we get to put ourselves back together in a different way.
when you look at the new year and we look at ourselves, what should we be thinking? Like, most of us want to improve, whatever it's going to be. Last year was okay, but want to work on this, work on that, even make me better. What's the starting point? What should we be thinking?
My starting point is usually reflection. So what worked last year, what didn't work? Because I always like to celebrate the things that did go well, because it's easy to forget those. So what did work? Even just like who you are. So like, I was courageous last year. I was confident last year, whatever it is. So whatever worked, take that forward with you. Hold on to that, because it worked. You get to take that and go. What didn't work, so it could be like, I didn't achieve XYZ goals, or every time I was confronted with something, I backed down, I didn't stand in my voice or my power, or whatever it is. And so there's always going to be something that didn't work. Otherwise, you would be exactly where you want to be.
Right.
And it's not good or bad. It's just reflecting. And once you've acknowledged that, whether you can do this on your own or you need a little bit of support, it's understanding why that happened. Why didn't that work? Why did you not stand up for yourself? Why did you not hold boundaries? Why did you not step into your courage? Whatever it is. And usually there's an underlying factor, which again, sometimes you can figure out on your own or not, but it's getting under that, because just taking yourself into a new year is not going to change anything. You are going to show up as you, whatever that is. So even with jobs, relationships, where you live, a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'll just change jobs and then everything will be fine. Or I just need a new relationship and everything will be fine. But you're still bringing you. So not saying that it's wrong, good or bad. It's just you're bringing you. And so you're going to see the same things.
It's almost as if you're prolonging what needs to get done. Like, especially when you look at couples, married couples that maybe aren't seeing eye to eye always, and there's like, well, you know what, we'll buy another house, or we'll have another child,
Right.
but the
Yeah.
situation still exists, and all that's going to do is prolong what could be the inevitable, and that is the relationship not continuing. um
Yeah, exactly.
Personal question:
Yeah.
when you look back to 2022,
Yeah.
you personally, what's one thing that, I don't want to say you want to work on, but
Mhm.
you're not going to do that again? Whatever that is. What are you changing up? It'd be one thing.
One thing. Oh, goodness. Okay. So what's coming to me, one thing that I get to shift for myself this year is really using my voice. So when something comes up, and because often I think the things, so like someone will say something and I'll think like, oh my gosh, like that's not how I feel. That's really rude, like whatever it is. And I hold on to it. I hold it inside. Um, so I get to leave the comfort of not using my voice and
Mm,
risking not being liked by standing up and using my voice.
love that. Yeah.
And like
Just
saying that, I could feel it. And I was like, oh,
well,
oh Lord.
because guess what?
Like,
You just, Michelle, you just committed to it.
I know. And so part of me just like died a little bit. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
just told like who knows how many people are listening right now, but like, whew, okay, it'll be fine.
You
I
committed
got
to it,
this.
but
I did.
you, in a way, you're reborn in a way, you know.
Yeah.
Uh
And yeah, I know that's where I get to go. And I know that when I do use my voice, I'm going to feel freer because stifling my voice just has a weight and energy with it that I don't necessarily like. It's just comfortable at this time.
mm.
And so,
Yeah, well, it's confrontation. Not many of us don't like confrontation or just
yeah.
being in those situations. So I asked you, I'm going to throw it to me now. Not worrying about things that I don't want to worry about things that I can't control, be it
Okay.
other people, somebody does something, it could impact my life.
Hmm.
I can't control them. I can only
Yeah.
control me. And you know what? They do something doesn't mean it's going to have an impact on
Right.
me, but I'm worrying about it, or I did worry about it. So now it's just like I put that to the side. And I did something, I can't believe I did it. Right after midnight, I went on Facebook and Instagram, and I've
Hmm.
never done this. And it was almost a premonition. Something like dropped in my head, and I looked at a friend. We were very great friends, worked together for years. Um, I ended a long-term relationship, and I feel that this person stepped off on the other side.
Mm.
And a lot of friends telling me, "Yeah, you got to make a choice." And I'm like, "No, I don't make a choice on it." And I made a choice, and I unfriended them, and it's, that's it. And it was kind of painful. And I even looked a little bit deeper, and it was even more validation for it. Yeah, it's probably time to push that aside. Maybe it'll come
Right.
back, but for now it's there. And I haven't even seen this person probably about a year. We've connected, whatever, but it just seemed like it was the right thing to do. you know
Yeah, that's beautiful. And like, I know not all choices are like feel good at the time. Especially when it comes to relationships, which could be any relationships, friends, family, romantically, whatever it is.
hmm
To end something that necessarily, it doesn't necessarily, uh, that relationship doesn't necessarily like, isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's not like they hurt you or
right,
like they
right,
stole something or whatever it is. It's just, it's not working.
right. Time to close the door. It just, and
Exactly.
yeah. And the one thing that led me to it was, um I invited them out. First time in a long time. I was like, I want to reach out. And they said, Bob, can't make it. And all good. It was a last minute thing. It could
Okay.
be anybody.
Yeah.
But then the reply on the text was, let's be intentional about getting together soon. And it's just like, really? No, you're not intentional. If you are, and you know what? If they respond back this week, because it was supposed to be this week, maybe I'll
Right.
have a set, but I don't think it's going to happen. So,
Okay.
and that's it. That was more validation, door being closed, and then there's other doors that will open. And like you said before, if you have these people here you can't bring more people in because,
Yeah.
it's taking up space.
Yeah, and kind of around like the people that you have around you is there's the whole idea of you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Oh, I remember hearing that about a year ago, and it was just
Yeah,
like, whoa,
and it's
okay.
powerful and it's so true. I see it time and time again in my own life, not my own life, whatever, but it's just like the
Yeah,
people you surround yourself with the most, you are the most like. So if you want to get to a certain level,
yeah,
surround yourself with those kinds of people. And if you're not liking somebody in your circle, also take a reflection at yourself and be like, is this reflecting how I am being too? But I love that you said that you chose. You chose to be like, okay, I'm going to end this. And we all have a choice. Every single moment we have a choice. And I saw something on Facebook today and I was talking to my friend about it. And it was so perfect because it was related. Um, but I just pulled it up so I could read it. But it's negativity is a choice, resentment is a choice, anger is a choice, revenge is a choice, optimism is a choice, compassion is a choice, forgiveness is a choice, empathy is a choice. How we live our one given life is a choice. And so I loved that because I've been I've been sitting in and like reflecting a lot in the past week or so. And I'm like, I'm holding on to some resentment. And I was like,
mm,
I don't know how to let this go. And then I read that and I'm like, it's a choice. I've been choosing to hold on to it, either because it just makes me feel good because I get to be mad at something, or like I get to dig into that. That's my whole thing. I'm not quite sure where it's like what's going on, but everything we do and however we show up is a choice.
mm-hmm.
So if you don't want to be mad anymore, then choose not to be. Like,
Michelle, do you want to? Are you going to wallow in resentment?
no, I have been, but I'm
Yeah,
choosing not to anymore because
right.
it doesn't feel good.
Well, why do you do it? Because I don't mean you, but why
Yeah,
do we do it? Because we're creatures of habit. So we go back to
absolutely.
something that feels kind of comfortable. Man, I've always been, resenting that person for what they did, whatever. So I'm just, I'm just gonna marinate some more. But like,
Yeah.
why? You gave them your power. They don't really care.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really just it's just affecting you. And I know for me, it's like it's giving me a reason to be a victim
Mm-hmm.
instead of standing in my power and using my voice, which is what I get to step into this year.
Right.
Yeah.
And guess what? When you're in that victim mode, what do? You'll talk to friends, family, whatever, and you'll be I itch about stuff
Yeah.
because it's kind of comfortable. And I'm sure you can name those friends, the ones that you vent to.
Oh, absolutely.
So now what are you gonna do? when you
Yeah.
talk when you talk to them? What can we talk about now? I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's just like who am I when I'm not that person? And
Right.
that's what I feel going back to kind of like new year, new me, but advanced next level me is I feel like a lot of people are resistant into thinking that way because they don't know how to be that person. And so we all know how to be who we've been. And so to shed that and become something new, which is why I feel like a lot of people don't hold up resolutions, is because we don't know how to change us to fit that mold. We're just like, well, if I do something different, I'm going to be a different person. Well, in reality, you get to be a different person to do something different.
Well, you said the keyword change,
Yeah.
and with change comes fear.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you
Yeah. And
debate that. Yeah.
it's mostly just the fear of the unknown. Like, who am I going to be? How are people going to see me? And because I've gone through a lot of my own change and transformation, people don't know how to relate to you anymore. So there's a chance you might lose relationships because
Yep.
they don't know how to interact with you as the new version of you, the changed version of you.
So
And that's scary.
well, you know what that is? There's two words that come to mind. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
That's it. They don't serve you. And you just brought back, I'm glad you said you are the sum of the 5 people who spend the most time with, because the
Mm-hmm.
person I mentioned before that I unfriended on
Yeah.
Facebook and Instagram, um, I forgot I had a conversation a year and change ago about this person going in another direction with
Mm-hmm.
somebody that I'm not aligned with anymore. And no, that's not, and it was a great conversation and we kind of came back to where we should be. Um, but this person that I no longer serves me is now spending time with the person that also doesn't serve me. And
Yeah.
they're all, over here, and that's not who I am anymore. You can go, you can take that. That's okay for you.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that you've like recognized that that doesn't work for my life anymore. And that's okay, because now you're on a certain track and that's what you're going to focus towards. And I feel like anyone can change their focus, their track at any time they want. It's just recognizing and understanding where you want to go.
What
And
if you
so,
don't know
yeah.
where you want to go?
I find a lot of people are on that track.
Yeah.
And for me, when I was on that track, I reached out for support. So I reached out to my own coaches. I reached out to my friends that have also gone through transformation with me, because I know that they understand. Um, I reach out for support, and really deep down, we all know where we want to go. We
Yep.
all know what we want to have. It's either we've been telling ourselves for so long that we can't have it,
Yeah.
so you don't believe it, or once somebody might have made fun of you for wanting it, so you're like, oh, I can't reach for that, I can't go for that because it's not right, it's not acceptable, whatever it is. But it's really just learning to trust that what comes up for you is right. And we talked about intuition briefly in this talk, and it's really connecting with that. And I've been reconnecting with my own intuition the past like 6 months, because I stopped trusting it.
Mm,
So now if people ask me a question, like you said, what am I going to leave behind in 2022? I was like, my brain wanted to find the right answer. And I was like, I need to say something that sounds good. Like, but then I was like, okay, wait, this is the first thing that came up. So this is really what I'm going to go for. Yeah.
and usually the first thing that comes up is the right answer
Yeah.
inside you.
Yeah. I've heard the phrase like first thought, best thought.
Yes. And you question it because sometimes, more times than not, it just seems too easy. It's just like,
Yeah.
even making a choice.
Yeah.
Oh, no, life's got to be harder than that. It can't be that easy. But yeah, it is. If that's what came from within. And you said before that we know what we want.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to peel back layers, figure out what it
Yeah.
is. Maybe we have beliefs that block what we want.
Mhm.
But I always, this came to me. I heard this about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
All I need is within me now,
Yep.
and
Absolutely.
it's all sitting in there. But again, sometimes you can't focus on it because there's other things around you, or you need support, like you. There's somebody that
Yeah.
can take a look at what's going on and say, well, have you thought about this? Peel that back layer. That happened in your life. You think that might have an impact on how you're feeling right now?
Right. Exactly. And to have that non-judgmental space. Like that's what I bring with any of my sessions, is like, I'm not going to judge you. It's your life. Who am I to say what's right or wrong for you? And so I'll get curious about it, absolutely. But I'm not going to be like, oh, you can't reach that. Like, are you
Right.
crazy? Like, have you really thought about this? Like, no, because it might work for you. It might not have worked in my own life if I even tried it, but it
Hmm.
might work for you. So who am I to say?
Right. And,
So
and it may not have worked in that person's life, but now maybe it will
up until that moment,
up until a
exactly.
moment. Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I've learned I've adapted kind of the phrase like up until now, because it's like what we just said. Maybe something in my life didn't work until now, but I haven't been this version of me until now anyway. So maybe now it will work. Or
Right.
maybe I wasn't doing something, or I wasn't being a certain way that worked to achieve it. So now I get to figure that out and try a different way,
Isn't it
basically.
interesting how life goes like that? Where if you looked at yourself 5 years ago
Mm,
and thought about doing the things that you're doing now, or the thoughts that you have, which you believe are the way it
God.
should be,
Yeah.
I look back, tell me if this is you, and I say, there's no way I would have been able to do this and do that and do that, or think the way I'm thinking now.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild, and it's even I'll say 2 years. It's
I was
like,
gonna say even a year ago.
and then there's that, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
exactly. And I've always been like drawn to go from my heart. Like I am very much like a feeling kind of person.
mhm.
And I'm okay with that. I've learned to accept it. Like I will cry easy and I'm like, cool, I'm crying, whatever, accept it. Um, but I've always, okay, not always, but like leading up to my point of depression and then afterwards, like how I listen to my body has been completely different. And
Yeah,
it's like beforehand, I would get a job just to get a job because it pays well and I need money. But now I'm like, I cannot Like physically, I cannot settle for a job that doesn't feel good to me, even if it pays the best in the world, because I've already gone through that experience of a job like affecting my mental health.
It's
And
got
so
to
when I
align.
think of, yeah, and so when I think about it, I'm like, I can't put myself through that again. So I need to, as you said, like align to it. It needs to feel good to me. And if it doesn't, then that's not the right way to go.
Yeah, listen to your body's another great one. I don't know
Yeah.
if we're using resolutions here, but that's so key. I mean, I found myself a couple of weeks ago feeling like I was getting sick. Like, what is going on? You know what it was?
What?
It was stress.
Yeah.
And how I identified it was I started feeling better like a day or two later. I guess, holidays coming up, lots of changes and everything.
Right.
And then something stressful came up. And then I started feeling again, feeling like out of it again. What is Oh, that's what that is. Interesting. It wasn't a cold coming on, but it had the classic signs of a cold coming on. Like,
Right.
I'm fighting off a cold. Wow, been a while.
Yeah. Stress is it's an interesting one because it presents in so many different ways, and it can appear as sickness or tiredness or anything like that. But like our bodies tell us a lot of things, we just don't listen.
No,
and
we
like
don't.
our intuition tells us a lot of things, but we just don't listen. And yeah.
Well, with you talking about going with your heart on a lot of things, I think that's the best way to go, because this gets in the way sometimes.
Many times.
Right. This is your intuition giving you that instant answer. This is saying, no, it can't be. It's not going to be that easy. Don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. And as humans, we like to rationalize things.
Yeah.
We
Think some
like
more.
logic, and that's where the brain comes in. But a lot of the times our intuition isn't logical.
What a great planet this would be if we just went on just intuition. Just acted on that instead of just like overthink it, and just all it does is just prolong things and just take so much time.
But it does, and then it causes stress.
And it causes stress. There you go.
Yeah.
We are out of time. It just like rolls by. Wow.
I know. I love these.
Yeah. So you are somebody that can definitely help somebody with a lot of this.
Absolutely.
And I mentioned off air that my daughter is looking for a change in life and just, kind of moving things forward. So I'm definitely going to mention you to her, because I think there would be synergy. But anybody else, phoenixcoaching.org, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And move it forward. Think from the heart. And if you can't do that, call Michelle.
Yeah.
She'll help you through it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you only better. Not new year, new you. It's you only better.
Yeah, next level you. Let's make it happen.
Yeah. Cheers to a great 2023. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, Michelle. Thanks a lot. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Thanks, Steve.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.